Hey, everybody, welcome again to the CDE episode number 12. We've got a new guest here, a new amigo, and we're going to introduce him first before we kick off with our regular crew. Welcome, Eric Weast. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Good. How are you?
Well, just tell us a bit about you, by the way, for the gang who may not know you.
Oh, certainly. So I am president of ECW Network and IT Solutions, as well as RX Cloud. We are a managed service provider. We've been in business a little bit over 22 years. So we've kind of been throughout, all the different evolutions of technology. And right now, we're primarily focused on, delivering security, cloud-focused solutions to our customers, as well as AI governance.
Oh, there you go. So Eric's going to keep us honest here. So if we screw up, Eric, just let us know, man.
All right.
Yeah, and the regular crew, of course, we've got Adam, we've got Randal. You could wave. Evgeniy, me, Julian, and Paolo. So once a month we get together. We have really no plan. We just talk about what's happening in the world of cyber, in particular, and AI. And this episode we're going to kick it off with FIFA of anything else, because hell, who doesn't like football and soccer? First of all, you say who says football first for soccer? Who says football?
I
Who says
try. I
soccer?
try.
I say soccer, only
Soccer.
because it's force of habit.
Soccer.
Okay, so who loves soccer or football?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, did you just, they should be able to score more. Put the nets closer, right? Put some gear on and then score faster. Anyways, that's just my silly take on it.
Well,
So
you
we're in
want
the
to
middle
know
of
how you want
FIFA.
to get more goals in the game, Julian?
Yeah,
Remove the offside rule.
done.
Oh yeah.
Call me, done. Remove it.
Remove the offside rule because if you're like an eyelash uh, in front of the last defender, and I
Goes
mean an
backwards.
eyelash,
Yeah,
the goal doesn't count. But I don't understand why because you're right there. Play the game.
I don't get it, man.
They
If
should
you really
also
want to
put
see,
borders all around it and also put it on ice and give them sticks. Just that was
now,
my suggestion.
now that's, now we're
Oh,
talking about a
that's a
real
sponsor.
sport. All right, my friends. Obviously, we're trying to be soccer fans, but let's kick it off with all the all this crazy stuff we hear about soccer prices, hacking with of course stuff like this. Who's got a story about somebody trying to hack FIFA?
I
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
go
Ren.
ahead. Go ahead, Randall.
well, I read this article today called "I Could Have Rickrolled the World Cup," and well, what it was is a white hat hacker. His name is Bob the Hacker. He was able to log into FIFA's internal data platform using Microsoft Entra. So he basically found out that he got a ton of rights just by default, as if he was pretending to be a player, and he was just basically had access to quite a lot of power, and he had to bring it up to them multiple times before they fixed the flaw. So it just goes to show you how some things with such a big budget, bringing in so much money, could still have a weak cyber posture.
But
I'm
you're
surprised they
talking
didn't
about,
ignore him, because normally these organizations ignore these things that come in from people. I've seen this firsthand. Evgeny, you wanted to add something there?
yeah. So, Randall, you bring in a very interesting point. The budget is going towards marketing, towards tickets,
Yeah,
towards
true.
food. We're talking about beer. We've been talking about security by design versus patching and duct taping approach for many, many years. So, company will complain how much the Microsoft license will cost, but they're never going to spend another 10, 15, 20,000 to actually go and make sure they deployed everything they have. They check everything they have. You're talking to companies about pen testing, and a lot of the companies still want to do pen testing only because they need to pass compliance, not because they want to be secure.
Man, and with all that money, you'd think they'd go the extra mile. Paul, you wanted to wrap this up and bring it home with FIFA?
Yeah. So every day when I go on my email, there's this World Sports Network that is doing some AI modeling, and they do something like over 280 simulations. And they're because I'm in Canada, so they center around Mexico, U.S., and Canada. So the good news, if you're fans of these three nations, we're all going to make it to the knockout stage. They've done like 280 simulations, and only one would have one of the host nations not in the group of 32. They have the U.S. winning their group. They have Mexico winning their group, and they have Canada coming in second, Switzerland winning. Canada's group of 32 game will be against North Korea, and they will lose according to these simulations all done with AI. But here's now I totally disagree as a Canadian.
So do I place bets now or what, man?
But here's the most interesting part. Are you ready for this?
Yes. Drum roll.
In the round of 16, the United States will face Iran. And who doesn't want to see that? According to this group of AI predictors.
And the game will be in Mexico City.
Oh my God, man! We're not supposed to
Adam,
talk politics.
If the Americans lose, will the rematch be in Tehran, Iran?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they're going to swim in the Hormuz Canal, and whoever gets across wins. I don't know, man. I'll bet you Eric is going, what the hell? I thought this was supposed to be about cybersecurity stuff.
What did you sign me up for?
All right, my
all
friends.
good.
Let's get into the real stuff here. We gotta decompress, you know. All right, here we go, man. So let's just kick this off with any other crazy hacks we've heard so far. What's right now happening that we should all be concerned about? We started with the FIFA one, but that really wasn't a hack. Is there anything that's happening out there that we should be concerned about or worried?
Well, I would say something that's not. It's just, we talk about this stuff all the time, but vulnerabilities in security tools and platforms. There's a thing called FortiBleed, but this is not new. This is a similar type of thing. I don't even know how this one happened. There was some kind of leak of 70,000 VPN credentials or something. I don't know if this was something that happened before or what, but Eric and I, we have a joint customer that was asking us about it. And, it's just like, hey, if you don't have your SSL VPN enabled on that device, or you have proper controls on that device, you don't have to worry about it as much. But I don't know. That's one thing that came out recently. I don't know, Eric, if you want to add to anything there.
Oh, well, I mean, it's just one of many for SSL VPNs. I mean, those have been getting exploited for years and years. We've actually kind of gotten to the point where we turned all of those off. Basically, there's no firewall-based SSL VPN that we're leveraging. It's all zero trust now.
Interesting.
So I do want to add one part, and Adam, I kind of towards the point you mentioned about vulnerabilities. So in talking about FIFA, and I'm not sure exactly, but sounds like it maybe wasn't a vulnerability. It was just misconfiguration.
It sounds like it could have been like a misconfiguration in their Microsoft tenant or something.
That's because they don't have someone like Eric running their show,
or they don't have automated tools like Evgeniy and I work with. But it's not. I think it's a good point, Evgeniy, too. Sometimes it's not even. It could be your security tools, or it could be like a SaaS thing. There was something. There's been several with like Salesforce. And it's just a misconfiguration.
You got to configure that stuff, man. Hey, there's or apparently Microsoft just walked away from a $3 billion deal there, Randal, from Oracle, because Oracle decided they didn't want to go through the security gauntlet. Like, what the hell? What does that mean?
Well, it's interesting because, again, there's a lot of pushback on spending on cybersecurity. But if you don't meet a certain criteria, you can get locked out of contracts. So Oracle is now out of a $3 billion contract because they just can't provide the security that Microsoft needs, or they don't want to. And I think the contract is going to Amazon, apparently. So they're going to get a big boost. What happened? Well, stocks from Microsoft and Oracle have gone down because of this. It's really interesting to see that it's becoming more than just, oh, we should do this because it's a good idea. It's going to become more like, well, every time I say that, I sound like an AI. I am not AI, I am real. Here's my, okay. So, but we're finding out that, to compete and to actually get contracts right now, you have to prove that you're secure. You have to at least do some baseline. And I think that's going to be a way for us to help the MSP community to preach that message to the clients that, hey, if you don't have a baseline of cybersecurity, you could be left out of contracts. Like Oracle got left out of $3 billion of contracts because they didn't have what was needed, or they didn't want to take the steps to get there. So I think it's coming up, and we're seeing some legislations come out, even as what, a day or two ago. There's a bill 36.
Bingo. Yeah.
So,
All right.
and that's in the US, you have, well, it's not just US, but you also have CMMC for government contractors that's required, and that's really getting serious. And also, Eric, I mean, I see you have the trust mark thing behind you. That's the certification you guys have. You just like voluntarily said, hey, we want to do this to be secure and do the right thing and have a differentiator, right?
Yeah, I mean, also too, some year, we're going on, we just renewed for our second year, so this is something, we didn't just do. It was something where we kind of saw the writing on the wall, where eventually MSPs themselves are going to be regulated like their clients. So that was important. And Adam, you're right about the CMMC stuff. I mean, that's coming down the pipe, and I mean, there's some people who are taking that seriously and see the writing on the wall, but then, we get new leads, and sometimes that don't. They think that they can eventually get around this, and I think that they're going to be in for a rude awakening when they're denied the bid.
Yeah, that's the key, right? Is that, like, we're hearing on the government side, on the defense side, the large primes are saying, you're going to have to get audited and certified, or we're going to kick you out. When that starts happening, then these small businesses get serious. And then if they're a prime, the language in the contract will bar, they will not be allowed to bid if they aren't certified. And I think you're going to see more and more of this. And like you're saying, Randal, I mean, when it hits the bottom line, that's when people take it seriously.
Security is definitely bubbling up louder and louder. I just saw a research piece came across from a company, forgot who it was. Roughly, again, it's almost anecdotal right now. It's like 2/3 of these companies out there are looking for a better cybersecurity protection, because when they ask, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're well protected?" People like, I don't want to tick that box anymore, because there's so many different layers, right, in protection. I don't think anybody is, well, most people are probably not that confident that they're doing anything, that they have everything locked down. So maybe that's really what's causing a little bit of this. Maybe I should look for another MSP who've got a better solution or some kind of a better stack. Anything else you want? Yeah, go ahead, Randal.
I wanted to talk about, I looked it up, and it is Bill C-36 came out 2 days ago. Now, I know that we're an international program. We have listeners all around the world, the US and Canada. But let's say for those of you that are in Canada, this is something we need to pay attention to, because this came out 2 days ago. It says it's an act to enact the Protecting Privacy and Consumer Data Act to amend the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act. Basically, they're amending some of the stuff that we have in place to make it even more mandatory to be cyber secure. So, I mean, great for Canada. I'm sure the states have all kinds of other local bylaws and things like that need to be taken care of, which is even more complicated. But it's becoming, compliance is going to become the next low-hanging fruit for MSPs, in my opinion.
And of course, we don't want to say it's punishable by debt yet, but eventually, we're probably going to get there. Look, every country is upgrading their laws and compliance. So there's a heat map that Nim, by the way, Nim is not able to join us today, but Nim had a really great heat map of all the compliance things around the world. And I remember when I first saw it, it was sort of like light-ish pink. And now it's like the whole map is like completely red, meaning that everybody is putting rules and regulations on AI, in cybersecurity, et cetera, et cetera. And recently, our government also just upped the game as well in AI. Paul, you want to mention a couple of things of how AI and cyber in particular, how these two things are going to impact everybody and what kind of things are happening?
The new strategy on AI for all.
Yeah.
I unfortunately, I'm not very, I'm a very positive person, as you know, very optimistic. I don't find this coming from the government too optimistic. In fact, I think they're so late. It's almost comical. So,
Every government's late to the game, my
no,
friend.
not really. No, not really. No, not
We're
really.
just very late.
I got to push back.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a 2.3. It's called AI for All. It's a $2.3 billion fund to adopt AI and help Canadian companies scale. Okay. Just with that figure alone, it's ridiculous because the UK is spending 28 billion. Okay.
Mm.
We should be along those lines. I'm not talking about, spending up to the American, they're spending up to to China. Obviously, they've surpassed this. What makes me really angry as a Canadian about this is that in 2017, under Justin Trudeau, and he looked at the time, he looked very progressive when he came out with the first AI strategy, first nation state AI strategy among all the G7 leaders, right? And it ended up getting us hubs in Toronto, Montreal, and Edmonton, and that's all great. Okay, that's great. But since 2017, we've done squat. Okay, this is the problem I have with this. And you look at the Saudis. The Saudis have poured in $100 billion. They've created their own AI company called Humane with the AI in the middle. They got a backer in Cisco, giving them all their technology. And when I looked through this strategy, and I read it a couple of times, we did a report. It's on eChannelNews if you want to read more about it. It's the same old Canadian type of strategy. We're going to punch above our weight class, right? That's all we're going to do. Yeah, we're not going to spend up to everybody else. We're not going to give real Canadians some real resources to actually scale this. We're just going to do the best we can and see where the chips may. Well, it's really disappointing. I spoke to a lot of Canadian MSPs at the PAX 8 show about this. Edward Smith of Tech Center, who we all know and love, he had some choice words about it too. He overall is more optimistic than I am. I just wanted to give you from someone from the field that he thinks it will strengthen it. Yeah, of course it will strengthen it because we had nothing before. Now we got at least 2.3 billion. Will it? Here's the thing. Will it keep AI talent in Canada? This is what this plan is all about. I think the ship has already sailed, but hopefully it might work.
The short answer is no. It's the game.
I know. It's just so disappointing.
The game is global, and whoever is going to win this race is going to win this race.
I think
Look, you can put a lot of regulations around AI and cyber and this and that and whatever, and press a button next week it changes. Things are happening like crazy. What's the latest from Mythos? Anybody have any updates? They've got new versions obviously coming out. We're getting closer to that glass wing. What can I say?
Well, there was big news last weekend. There was big news.
Yeah.
Right? So there's another model. The U.S. government says, no, you cannot allow foreign nationals to access this. And, there's an outcry from security leaders saying, what are you really accomplishing by doing this? Personally, I'm a little conflicted on this because, yes, you can do a lot of damage with these things, but there are other models that other countries have. So I do think there should be some guardrails and policing of it. I'm not sure exactly how to go about that. Evgeniy,
so maybe we just go and explain because Adam, what I'm thinking you're referencing is Fable, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So basically, they rebranded, renamed into Fable as they released it, but they put a lot of guardrails, as you say, to the app because they were afraid that the bad guys will start doing this. And if you tell the app, "Oh, can you please test my app?" it will say, no, I cannot test it, and automatically, unfortunately, switch to different model. So first of all, it's very, very annoying that it will just switch in the middle. But the claim with Fable was very interesting, and I actually tested it, is it can one-shot an application, a game, a something. And few people on the internet did that. And I myself had an working game, card game, as I was trying to make happen. It didn't work. And I told Fable during the 24 hours it was still working, go analyze it and fix everything and pretty much build. Sorry, I told build a new game because when it got analyzed, it didn't actually want to do it. And it's actually did a very, very good job. It literally built an app, no bugs. But what happened in the industry, people told us, don't analyze, don't test. They say, I want to improve or I want to do something else. So we
Debug.
start playing with the language.
Trying to jailbreak it. Yeah.
Yep, exactly my point. Your point as well. So what happened in about 24 hours, 36 hours? The government basically asked to remove the model. But what I want to hear your opinion, during this time, how many jailbreak of Windows happened? How many copies? Did people created their own versions or copycats?
Yeah, I think
Let's say 28 million.
they
That's a
have
guess, rough
they
guess.
have the data. The good thing is they have the data, but they may not know what it means yet as to how many jailbreaks occurred or what people were doing. But I think it's, China and others are, they have other similar models. This is, the cat's out of the bag. I mean, I do think we do need guardrails, but it's just I don't have all the
Yeah.
answers as to
I've been talking with guardrails all the time, man, and governance. I'd say that's really cool. You should try to do it. That's for sure. But all it takes is one.
These things are going to be used for good and for evil. The good side is that, like I think we talked about a few months ago, um, operating systems and browsers, things that people use every day, are going to get more secure initially because those companies who have had access to Mythos to break their stuff have been working on it. I'm sure there's been huge, and as we talked about, the patches are going to be more continuous. But
sure.
Um,
let's hear a bit from Eric and what you're seeing on the ground floor, my friend. So you're in the front lines.
Yeah.
What's worrying your clients? What are they talking about?
Well, we kind of have a mixed bag of different directions, kind of free market and how that goes. We have some clients who are very concerned, and want to do things the most best practice way of building. Usually they want to build like private AI endpoints in their cloud infrastructure and then put guardrails and governance around that. What we try to do is, we try to see exactly, before we even deploy the AI, what it has permissions to in the environment, who has access to it, what it can touch, what it can do, and then also what agents and APIs that it's communicating with. We have, several clients who are fully bought into this approach and want to do, not only kind of continuous scanning of this stuff, but also recurring governance. And then, there are some clients who are having sign waivers because the IT department, in some cases, they'll have one, and the IT department kind of sides with us that this stuff needs to be more quickly guardrailed. And, we try to take a zero trust approach to AI, much like we do with the rest of our stack. But then they, in some scenarios, are getting overridden by the C-level executives who will come in and say, hey, we don't care what you guys think. This is something, this is a train that we don't want to miss out on this market opportunity for our business. So there's kind of, I'd say current state is, kind of like with anything new. Some people are kind of taking it seriously, taking it responsibly, and some people just want to break things fast, where they're just, they want to jam it in there, see what they can do with it, see how they can play with it. And, in those scenarios, MSPs have to look out for their own liability, at the end of the day, because we're putting in, tools that contain really large attack surfaces. They contain in some scenarios a litany of vulnerabilities, and and then you're gonna have those things communicate with agents and servers, that are going to evolve over time. If you just set and forget this machine, I mean, it's going to burn your house down eventually. That's kind of our take on it. So we're mostly concerned with, aligning with the people who want to govern this securely and take kind of like methodology to making sure that it doesn't do unintended things. But then, general population, there's sometimes people who just say, I don't care, just put it in. And, we're mostly concerned about protecting our liabilities in those scenarios, because at the end of the day, if something bad happens, they're going to come to us about it.
Eric, you got to start calling names, man. Who are those people who don't? No.
I have NDAs, sir.
So look, it's kind of a weird question, but if you had to score out of a score of 1 to 10, right? What do you think the average security posture is of your clients?
Regarding AI or
no, regarding cybersecurity in general?
Oh, regarding cybersecurity in general, I'd say that, we're probably, baseline around an 8.5. And then, we do have some clients in, kind of high compliance areas where, we have a lot of the tools and methodology and, processes internal through our own compliance, but then we don't do specific things like write policies and procedures. We don't act as a vCISO. And in those scenarios for highly regulated clients or clients who are super security focused, we'll bring in a firm like Crosshair with Adam, and then, we kind of work together as a collaborative partnership to kind of bridge that gap where, we do well enough on operational security, but that doesn't mean that all is well and sound. You have to review configurations. You have to have checks and balances where one party is sort of, watching after the other. So, I'd say, in short, in general, our cybersecurity has been, fairly advanced for most of our peers, but the AI thing is something that's unprecedented, and we're trying to, we're doing everything that we can to take the lead there and have, real governance programs, whether that's, initial governance or maybe even MSPs do human in the loop as a service. So there's going to be things that have to evolve with the marketplace, and MSPs are going to have to evolve with that on, themselves.
And that's a pretty high score, Eric, because normally it's like 6, 7. I don't want to let that thing go again, man.
I still don't even know what that means.
Your kid's not old enough,
6, 7.
I asked my daughter the other day, and she didn't know either.
Well, it's those South Park idiots. 6, 7.
Yep. Just to add on to that, I was actually on a meeting with some of our guys and with some of your guys, Eric, today. One of your customers who does want to do the right thing and is doing the right thing in terms of building AI into their business in a secure way, in a way that's we have governance. And it's really nice to get a text or an email or something from our MSP partner over there at ECW. Hey, did you know that this was going on in this customer? I think you guys should look at this. And it works really well, and the customer expects it. This is a secure customer but there are other ones, as Eric mentioned, that and we also have other ones in both camps, but some that they just want to run.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to put the brakes on them. I thought we had a good discussion today. It was like, hey, we also have a third party that's actually doing development and other things.
It's a battle, man. It's a push and shove, right? I mean,
but I think that the summation of it was, look, hey, this is how this thing is today. This is what we're going to do to test it. If you shift and you want to have new use cases and it's drastically different user base, then let us know and we can reevaluate it. It's a continuous thing.
Yeah. We talked the last time at their event, we talked about an MSP poverty line. Paul and I wrote a lot about it, are you below the poverty line as an MSP or above it? And it's not about money. It's about a whole bunch of other things. And I'll just defer you to check out the article on that. But there's also something called the cybersecurity poverty line as well, right? And I think what I'm hearing as well in the industry, and let me know what you guys think, AI is actually bringing that poverty line, down for a lot more people. They used to be really here, and you sprinkle in AI, and all of a sudden, their quote unquote poverty line is dropping. And I try to dig a little bit deeper to find out like how far has it dropped or how quickly it's dropping. And I always hear, well, it depends, man. How many LLMs, how many shallow LLMs they got, how many this, and I go, well, what you're telling me, nobody knows nothing, right? So here we go. We've got this great cybersecurity protection framework, right? Now we're adding AI, and it's diluting it, right? Is anybody seeing that? Any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this, personally, where, we have a great baseline, we're meeting, most, if not all of the cyber insurance controls by default. But then, most of these regulations don't really have an AI, piece to them yet, where, if you're going through a risk assessment, everybody's just kind of like, okay, checking all the traditional methods, and then they're just glazing over AI. So, I mean, we were even internally having a discussion on this today where, I was telling my team that we don't want to, basically say, okay, everything else is secure, but then we're going to drop in some freeware coupon clipper that's going to, communicate with a bunch of command and control servers all over the place. But at the end of the day, that's what you're doing if you're dropping an OpenClaw and you have a bunch of agents running on it. So why are we taking a different approach, to this? We should be taking, a bit more firm of a stance. We have zero trust around network filtering for AI. We don't allow every single AI into the network, but the ones that we do, they need to have a governance program in order for us to say that the security posture is sound, because it's a huge, huge attack surface right now.
So it feels like we're blowing up the current protection we have by just sprinkling in all this various AI stuff, right? But man, it's so exciting for CISO and the C-suite folks, right, to get their hands on that AI, right? And people playing with agents and now autonomous stuff and et cetera, et cetera. It's like we're all playing with fire. We're not quite sure if it's going to burn us or not. I wonder if somebody should do some kind of research on that, man, and educate us about how bad are we going from a 8.5 to a 6.7?
Well, I mean, some people may not even know, because they may not even have tools in place to measure AI usage or shadow AI. The message that we kind of try to get through to our customers is that if you're not using a safe, sanctioned AI that's provided by your company, your best assumption is that everybody's using everything that they can get their hands on.
That's right.
Yeah, if you don't have enforcement mechanisms like a DNS filter or something,
yeah, DNS filtering is huge right now.
Yeah, then absolutely they are. The other piece is, for those sanctioned ones, having that AI policy. We've talked about this before, but having that policy that says these are the approved ones, and then making it clear who can have them, who can't, and then sometimes like for regulated industries, like you have to have some that are like, I don't know, Chat GPT for healthcare or whatever, you have to have the right level. You have to have a BAA. And it's funny, one of our customers is healthcare. It's a healthcare customer. And they were like, well, if we get this version, but we could tell them not to put PHI in there. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's not going to work. So you need to have DLP. There are some solutions for DLP we've looked at, but I don't know, Eric, this is something we should talk about too in the future, because I'd like to have something that, there's a couple products that will cover multiple, sanctioned AI platforms. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, some of them are through browser plugins, and you can have DLP agents on the computers themselves. You can also have kind of like the general programming of the AI, whether it's the MD or the soul of it to, kind of scrub that data from coming in there in the first place. So there's definitely methods to it, but if somebody's just using a free Gemini or free Claude or free ChatGPT, none of those things are there.
And I would like to add to what Adam and Eric saying that what you guys describing in a way in my mind is a maturity models. Zero maturity, nobody knows what's going on. Maturity now, number one is at least you have some kind of a policy. You wrote a policy, you told people what you can or cannot do, but if you don't have a way to enforce it, and you want people to sign this, at least they've been aware about this part, and then you move on and say, okay, I can now monitor because monitors is a bit easier than actually prevent and have some idea on what you do. And then you move up, as you mentioned, DLP. Now I can understand Evgeniy, Paolo doing something wrong, and I can actually stop it. And it's not easy to achieve because as I said, encryption, there's multiple browsers, there's multiple ways to get to the internet. There are a lot of things going on to this equation to understand how traffic moves in your company.
Yeah, and the SSL and TLS encapsulation of it it makes it harder to know what's going into the AI in real time. So you can do e-discoveries and stuff to figure out what happened after the fact. But if you are real time having an incident, there's no product that I'm aware of that does anything like a SIM capability that alerts you that somebody's trying to prompt inject the AI in real time.
Interesting.
Man in the middle. So ideally we want the SASE vendors and all the new AI security vendors that come like mushrooms right now to be in the middle of the data. Decrypt. Or if we're going down the path of browsers, plugins to the browsers, Adam, you mentioned plugins to the browsers. They can understand the data before they become encrypted as well.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like a proxy or some sort of plugin or local agent on the machine itself.
Yeah. I was just chatting with the folks from Infinidad, and they just got bought over by Lenovo. And they've got their servers and their data protection stuff, and they've got this hardened cybersecurity thing, right, that actually protects the data as a kind of like another level. So you got your left to boom stuff, right? But if you do get through, they're digging down or doubling down on protecting that data, and they were talking about how this is kind of becoming really important, right, in the AI game, because at least if you harden the data as best you can, right, and you're using these LLMs to to attack it or to do whatever you want to do with it or to extract information, it's going to start to say, well, cannot do, and it's going to start enforcing the way people are using or touching the data points. Anybody seeing that the hardware component, if you can ever buy hardware, by the way, these days, as a hardware component, how is that going to impact this cyber race?
Well, I think you also have to think about quantum when you talk about this stuff too. We talked about that a little bit last month, but
we want to sleep tonight, man. Come on.
Well, the good news is there are post-quantum encryption algorithms out there. But it gets back to something, Eric and Evgeniy were touching on, and that's visibility. If you don't do an inventory of your quantum and your encryption that's out there, then you don't know what's resistant and what's not. But we're going to hear more and more about this. This also touches on, but this is something that like governments and enterprises are already on top of, but it's going to start filtering down into other smaller orgs.
Yeah. Randal, you got something to add there? Or Paolo? Been quiet.
I'm going to go back in my bunker and I'm getting scared.
That's what it was. I was going, what the hell is that? Is that thing filled with beer or what?
Yeah, in the fridge.
Or beans?
Is that Sam Altman's guest room?
He's going to have to go there one day. When people start bringing those pitchforks, man. Apparently, there might be a rebellion.
I'm definitely seeing shadow AI at clients. We're getting a lot of requests to turn on things like Claude into Office 365 without any questions about what exactly it's going to do with the data. Where's the data sovereignty? Like, where does it end up? And it's fine if you want to do it, but only if you're well prepared and you know what the consequences are. But I'm just having to like, it's almost like we have to put the brakes on certain projects and say, hey, there's a request to turn this on, but let's think about this. Like, how does this affect your, your privacy policy, your data sovereignty issues, especially in Canada, where we have to, in Quebec specifically, we have to even say when the data leaves the province. That's how specific it is for Law 25. So all these things people don't seem to be thinking about. They just, like we talked about, they just want to be surfing this wave, but they're not really prepared. They don't even know how to surf yet. And it could be dangerous. A professional surfer on a 12-foot Hawaiian wave, no problem. Me as a beginner on a 12-foot wave, I'm gonna get creamed.
Well, I'd get creamed
Let's
with
go
this in a
surfing.
1-foot wave.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I wouldn't even go in the ocean.
look, it's a good point, a bigger point you made there, Randall, and that is MSPs these days are sort of like the gatekeepers. What's that? The Guardian of the Galaxy, right? It's like you literally got to go and go no, right? That's it, no. And if you want to go that route, it's okay. Sign here, all right? Because I think we're at that point now when, yeah, everybody wants to use this stuff, right? And they don't want to spend the money for the proper cybersecurity and blah, blah, blah. And I think the MSP community is that line of defense that's got to come back and say, well, wait a minute. Okay, that's fine. Sign here that I'm no longer responsible for anything that you're doing.
I have a question on that. So Eric, maybe you can talk to this. I don't know. How tight are those waivers from a legal perspective? Is there much precedent there? Let's say one of your customers wants to go buck wild and do all kinds of stuff, and you say, "Hey, this doesn't fit. We're concerned about this risk. These are the risks. This is what we recommend. But if you don't want to do that, sign here." Do you know? Are you aware? Like, would that actually stand up? I guess it depends on the state, maybe, or
Yeah, I mean,
contract.
Them, whatever state that they're in, because we do have clients in probably 26 different states now. So like whatever state that they're in might have a different regulation because I mean, as far as I know, there's only a few states within the US that actually have official regulation, but we kind of fell back on just basic, indemnity that, if there is something that happens with data leakage or there is something that happens via, agentic AI that, that leads to a cyber incident, then we're indemnified on it. And I think business owners are going to start to take this stuff a little bit more seriously. Like I remember, in 2014, nobody gave a damn about cybersecurity, and then ransomware started hitting the market, and then it was in the news cycle, all the negative impacts of it. Real world, business owners were talking to their friends at the country club about how they just got hit the week prior. That stuff, I think within the next 2 years, we're going to start to see more negative news regarding this. And, right now we see stuff that's kind of like out there temporarily and then gets swept under the rug, usually within 1 to 2 weeks. It's like, oh, nothing to see here. But it's going to become more prevalent that people are going to start having to really pay attention, take this stuff seriously.
Yeah. I'll give a plug to an organization that we kind of met, Monjor. They do these contracts on a SaaS basis or something. And so basically, I would suggest if you're going to go down that route, at least get a really decent contract, right? And those folks at Monjor, I think that's what they do, so they can help you to legalize, what's going on in your world. Because I think you do have to like protect yourself now, man. It's look, if you have a house and you burn your house down by yourself, right? I don't think it's covered. I should check that. But,
what do you mean? If you burn your house with your friends
On
and
purpose?
it's covered or what?
let's see.
Well, I think you have other problems. You may be going to jail for arson.
Yeah. If it's
Well,
not an accident, I mean,
beyond that, but you can't burn your own house down, right?
Yeah,
Apparently.
and you're going to go into a legal system that probably, is not exactly 100% literate with technology, you're just going to tell them something bad happens, and then you're going to be like, "Oh, AI did it." Judge is going to be like, "I don't even know what the hell that is." Guilty.
What does AI mean?
Yeah.
Man, this world's crazy. Look, we got about maybe 5-10 minutes left here. Let's do a bit of a round thing of what's keeping you guys awake at night. Any last minute insights or tips? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll start. This is not keeping me awake at night. It's actually making me
Nothing
less.
keeps you awake at night, Paulo.
Not really. No, 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 no. Although they just hired a new coach for the Maple Leafs, and it's not a good sign. That keeps me more awake at night than this. But anyways, I digress. New factoid that I learned today that I think really like makes me happy in terms of this whole ecosystem, and that is that 86% of the respondents of this survey are refusing to pay the ransom, and that's up significantly. And I think that's a really good sign because I don't think you should fund these crooks. And that's the factoid I wanted to share with the rest of the team here.
Well, maybe the hackers are not going to sleep well tonight knowing that. But hey, never know, man. All right, Eric, what about you?
I would just say kind of mostly agentic AI and kind of putting decision making into like, something that's a stochastic model that could just randomly, decide something different as it did the last time, and just kind of the general trust that's being put into, just those type of determinations. I think we can get our arms around it, but it's something that we have to work on.
Hold on, Adam.
So this doesn't really keep me up at night, but it's interesting, and there are some potential concerns. I don't know if you guys saw that Elon Musk's company went public.
I did.
Yeah, quite
I
a
think
lot
we
of
all
money.
did.
Quite a lot of
Yeah.
money, and then like 2 days later, they bought Cursor AI,
Mhm.
which is a major competitor to Anthropic. In terms of systems that AI coding systems, and they do a bunch of other things. So I think you're going to see more and more of this. I think OpenAI has not gone public, but they're talking about it. So
Now
there's a
they're all going
ton
to
of
go public, I
there's a
guess.
ton of
But
money. There's a ton of money, and there's my concern is when people have crazy amounts of money, that you're going to get consolidation, and there's going to be um, things that happen with some of these capabilities that we may not all agree with. And so I think it's a broader thing. It's a trend you're going to see in the market. Again, it doesn't keep me awake at night. It's just
yeah.
interesting. Maybe
Look, with a
a
few
little
$1 trillion, man, you can
yeah,
do some pretty serious shopping.
yeah,
I
right.
won't necessarily start shopping there, but hey, with a few $1 trillion, it's you can do a lot of interesting things. Randall, what about you?
I'm really thinking about shadow AI. Since the last episode, I got so many more requests to turn on AI. It's obviously a hot topic. Customers want it. They want to play with it. I'm actually scheduling one-on-one time with some of them just to show them the basic ropes of it. I'll see how it goes with that. But just even putting up uh, a Claude.md file, like how to create that, and just so that you can at least make it work the way you like to work. But the cybersecurity scares me. It keeps me up at night. I'm playing around with the Acronis has a new product where you can basically monitor it for shadow AI, whether through the browser or an app. I don't know if it's good or not. I just turned it on for one of my clients 2 days ago.
Mhm.
So I'm going to find out. But I'm sure there are many others out there. So I'm really looking into trying to take control of AI with the customers and try to make them use it, but safely.
If it's
Yeah.
a Cronus, man, it's probably going to work.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, keep us posted how that goes. Evgeny, what are you thinking, man? You're thinking very deep there, my friend.
Yes, yes. So the
Jeez.
problem I see, and it's related to Mythos, everything else before, is we have, let's call them amazing tools to go very fast, to identify problems very fast in customer environment. So if, when, probably, when the bad guy is using variety of these tools, and this could be local LLMs as well, it means they can go through our defenses very, very fast if they're not done correctly. And I'm thinking a lot about how much defense in depth we actually build, how much isolation we really have. When the bad guys, not even if, get to part of our network or part of our architectural infrastructure because we're not longer located in one spot, can we isolate them quickly? Do we have what needed to understand there's a problem, isolate the problem, continue to serve our customers, be profitable, make money, and still dealing with the problems? And it's not an easy answer for this because it's involved a lot of different things.
A lot of stuff there, my friend. Hey, man, I worry about the speed and the speed of humans. It just feels like we got to run a marathon every day. There's so much stuff happening so fast that I'm not even sure the brain can keep up with the speed. It feels like the speed is way there. My brain is still back there. And it's like just when you think you're getting a hold of that, something else happened. It's like we're quantum leaping quite often. And I know the bad actors are getting in there in sub 6 seconds or sub 6 minutes, I would say. I don't know, maybe sub 6 seconds by the time we end this podcast, but they're getting in there faster. And AI and autonomous is helping people do this stuff automatically when the bad actors are sleeping. So it just seems like speed is becoming the thing, like how fast. It's not like it's now how often you've been hacked and how fast you were hacked, right? It used to be the good old days, man. It's not if you're hacked, but when you're going to be hacked. What can we bring back those old days? It was just last month, Now it's like how often and how fast you're hacked. It seems like we're in a clock. So I hope the smart people out there continue to figure it out. And it's great to have people like Eric out there in the front lines. And congratulations on keeping businesses alive and well. Randal, you too as well. Evgeny, Paolo, Adam, it's always a pleasure, my friends. And again, this is episode 12-ish. And we're talking about what happened this month. I mean, we could do this every week, but we're kind of busy. So we'll keep on doing at least once per month. Thank you all very much, guys. Have a great day. And
thank you. Take care.
Keep defending the cyber defenders, man. Cheers.
Exactly.